All right, 7:19 on this Thursday morning. You probably heard about this by now. Let's talk about it. The Canadian Medical Association calling for a full ban on mixed martial arts matches right across the country. And if the government decides to cut the sport, fans are saying the fights, they won't stop. They'll just go underground, and that is the danger. MMA expert Showdown Joe Ferraro joining us from Sportsnet. You're in Boston where the next big event's going to happen. Joe, you're talking about numbers here because you think that they're not looking at the facts.
Yeah, well, I've been doing a bunch of interviews since all this information came out from the BC Medical Association, now that they've convinced the Canadian Medical Association. And I tried to talk to some of the doctors. They had me with one live on the air, and I simply asked them, what are your stats? Where are you getting your figures from? What studies have you done? And he wasn't able to ascertain or give me any sort of information. I mean, when you look at the numbers of injuries and you know, you want to talk about deaths? We'll talk about deaths in sports. I mean, when you compare mixed martial arts to any other event out there or any other sport out there, it's pretty safe. It's alongside cheerleading in terms of deaths. There's only been 2 documented deaths in North America since the sport came out in '93. And I don't want to take away from any other sports because I'm a huge sports buff. So there's other sports out there that are far more quote-unquote dangerous than mixed martial arts. So these guys need to get their facts in order before they're coming out and trying to convince the public and the politicians to ban a sport that, you know, it's got rules and it's sanctioned and it's regulated. So quit the nonsense, guys.
I guess is that the tough thing to sell, because you look at the violent nature of this when you see them step into the octagon and you see what they're doing and some of the outcomes. Is it hard to sort of get past that for some people, politicians and doctors? And they're talking about concussions as well, but then you look at sports like football and hockey, lots of concussions there as well.
Yeah, see, when you look at mixed martial arts, and I've never had an issue with this, is I've been trying to convince people and trying to get rid of the stereotypes and ignorance that they have about mixed martial arts for the longest of past, for over a decade. Now, when you look at mixed martial arts, on the surface, of course it appears violent. It's not ping pong. It's a bunch of guys or girls, athletes, that are trained and conditioned to punch, kick, elbow, knee, and try and submit and throw each other around. Yes, that's, you know, of course it looks very violent, but when you actually know what's happening in there and the strategic and the human chess that's involved, you're dealing with conditioned and trained athletes who are accustomed to be part of that sport. And when you take a look, when I sit down with someone who's never seen mixed martial arts before and I explain to them what's happening at any certain point in time during a bout, they tend to come out of there. I think I'm at about 100% ratio. They're like, oh, you know what? I didn't know that. I thought these guys are just stepping into a cage and beating on each other. Well, no, they're not beating on each other. They're using the Olympic sports that your kids are trying to train in right now: boxing, taekwondo, wrestling, judo, Greco-Roman, and freestyle wrestling. They're using all of those skill sets combined into one to try and defeat their opponent. And when people start understanding that and realizing that, then they start opening up their eyes like, wait a second, this is not as bad as what we thought it was.
All right, as always, thank you. 7:21 now on a Thursday morning. Showdown Joe Ferraro on the phone from Boston, where the next big event's happening. Joe also saying that perhaps 3 events happening in Canada: Montreal, Vancouver, and Toronto in 2011.